Cool. I have some notes on my phone, because that's and I'm going to summarize it for you and make it a little bit more. That's why I'm here, so you don't have to watch the video a little bit. Okay. So, as it was said, my name's Daniela. I just graduated on Saturday. So I'm back. I did my project with my amazing group members, Dorin, Faith, and Patricia. They couldn't be here, so you're stuck with me. Before we start, I wanted to just say I definitely agree. I can't remember who was saying it before, that it's super important that you find a good group to do this project with. This is like a year-long assignment. It's not like a casual little group project. So that is definitely important. I actually found my group partner and best friend in Professor Sweet's class, and it was in a breakout room that I was about to log out of because I was kind of done. And I was like about to exit, and then another person in the group was like, "Oh, hi, Danielle," and I was like, "Oh, now I have to stay." And then I met another person in that group, and it all went great. So, moral of the story: don't skip Professor Sweet's breakout rooms; they could change your life. Okay, so let's jump into our research project. So our research project was called Melodic Minds, and it looked at the relationship between an eclectic music taste and open-mindedness. So we started our research based on this general assumption that people who have diverse preferences, like uncommon fashion choices, odd hobbies, or eclectic music tastes, are generally more open-minded individuals. My research team and I wanted to know if there's actually a statistically significant relationship between open-mindedness and diverse music taste, or if this is just a socially accepted assumption. So we looked at a lot of previous research on the topic of personality types and music preferences. I'm talking like 3 crammed pages of APA references type of research. So we did our due diligence. We found that in the previous research, it showed that there was a relationship between the personality type openness to experience, which is one of the personality types in the Big Five model. So the studies indicated that individuals high in openness tended to prefer diverse and complex genres like classical, jazz, electronic, while people who were lower in openness favored more conventional or upbeat genres. There was some difference in cultures with differences in Eastern and Western contexts, and some research highlighted that openness correlated with eclectic music. Yes, I just said that. Amazing. So what we looked at, our research was a little different, because instead of looking at specific genres like rock or country or whatever, we looked at how overall levels of diversity in music preference relates to overall open-mindedness in a person. So how did we do this? So let's look at the top one. Okay, so we had 79 participants. We recruited them through Instagram. They all consented. They were all over the age of 17. We excluded younger individuals because they have less stable music preferences, and also because you have to get their parents to sign a form, and that was a headache, so we were like, no. But we didn't put an upper age limit. We wanted to broaden the age diversity, and this actually addressed limitations in other studies that had been previously conducted. Perfect. So let's hop down to materials. We used 2 materials, which we combined into one online survey. So we used the Eclectic Music Questionnaire, which we created. It was a 15-question survey, which was just yes or no, and a list of 15 different genres. So, do you listen to country once a week? Yes or no? Do you listen to rock once a week? Yes or no? And in between those questions, we sprinkled in 13 questions from the 13-item actively open-minded thinking scale. That's a mouthful. This was a shortened version of Stanovich and Topak scale, and we also adapted it further. It used to be a 6-point Likert scale, and we needed a 4-point Likert scale because we wanted to make it easier for our participants to answer it, so it wasn't like, oh, this is going to take super long, we don't get a lot of participants. And we got almost 80, so that was a good call to make it a little bit shorter. We then separated the participants into 2 groups. What we did was we separated them based on how many yeses they answered to. So if they listened to 6 or more musical genres a week, they were in the eclectic group. If they listened to 6 or less, they were the non-eclectic group. And then we took the overall we added up their open-mindedness scores. So you can see, out of the 79 participants, 32 were non-eclectic, 47 were eclectic, and the total open-mindedness score for the eclectic group was 1,514, and the non-eclectic was 1,036. So at first glance, we were like, oh my gosh, guys, it worked. Our hypothesis is clearly correct, and it's 500 points more. No. Because there was 47 participants in the eclectic group and only 32 in the non-eclectic, once we averaged it out, we actually got the exact same average of 32 for both groups. So let's talk about that. So in our discussion, we looked at why we might have gotten why we proved our null hypothesis, which you guys are going to learn all about with Professor Tucci very soon. So we found an article by Price et al. 2015, which stated that open-mindedness varies across contexts. Oh wow, I lost my spot. Oh, thank you. Yes, it varies across contexts, and it's difficult to measure accurately with standard questionnaires such as an online survey, which makes sense because open-mindedness is a complex thing. There was a lot of limitations that, looking back, when we looked at our study, we were like, oh, this is what we would have done differently. So I'll tell you a little bit about them. The questions in our open-mindedness questionnaire were very clearly asking the right answer of what would make you an open-minded individual and what would make you a non-open-minded individual were very obvious. We had questions like, changing your mind is a sign of weakness, and one should disregard evidence that conflicts with your current opinions. So those are very clearly, if you answer one way or the other, it's clear to yourself if you're open-minded or not. And because of self-bias, most people tend to think that they're more open-minded than they maybe are. So that could have been a big factor in why we saw the scores that we did. Another factor was that when we chose the cutoff threshold of 6, that was an arbitrary number of like 6 eclectic music, 6 would make you eclectic versus non-eclectic. We found that some of our participants were saying yes to 13 genres. These people were listening to 13 different genres a week. So we should have made our cutoff a little bit higher, maybe 8 or 9. And that would have changed the overall, it would have changed the number of participants in each group, and it would have changed the average. But we can't do that after because that's cheating, so next time. Overall, even though we had no results, our study still advanced our understanding of music-personality relationships and suggested the need for updated measures and alternative research directions. Thank you so much.